Hi, my name is Zainabib, and today I'm going to be talking to you about the oil crisis and its effects on the world. Now, to a lot of people, oil seems like a dry topic. While that may be true, the power and influence it has in the world is greater than people expect. The reason I chose this topic wasn't because I have a passion for oil. Rather, it was out of curiosity. I was filling up my gas tank a couple months ago, and I noticed that gas prices were half of what they were a year ago. I asked myself, what caused this change? As I did more and more research, it kind of morphed into what are the effects of the change, and who are the winners and who are the losers? What comes to your mind when you think of oil? Maybe this, or maybe even this. But oil's influence goes way past gas stations and oil despots. According to the Center for American Progress, the oil sector in the US is responsible for providing 9.2 million jobs. It accounts for 7.7% of the American economy, and it provides the federal government $86 million a day in revenue. But the industry has been faltering in the past year. Oil, which trades in barrels for some reason, was priced at $103 a barrel at the end of 2014. Today, it's priced at just about $31 a barrel. The cause of the price change is a whole different story altogether. But today, I want to focus on the effects of the oil crisis and whether it's good or bad for the American and global economy. Now, the obvious positive effect of the oil crisis are gas prices. Gas prices have depreciated wildly over the past year. Gas bills are being cut in half, resulting in enormous savings for American families. Some believe that this will help further the American economy. The idea behind this is that consumers will, instead of wasting it on gas, spend it on other consumer goods and services, which will benefit the economy. While it is true that consumers are racking up savings, there's no hard evidence that they are spending it. In fact, the data suggests the opposite. According to Matt Egan of CNN Money, despite plummeting oil prices, U.S. retail sales actually fell 3% in 2015. On top of that market, Wall Street has been shaken to its core. The Dow Jones dropped 1,800 points since 2016 began. The stock market hasn't been this volatile since the nightmare of 2008. And the driving force for all this mayhem? Yep, it's oil. Now, it's not only the American market that's faltering due to the oil crisis. Many other countries are feeling the effects of the oil collapse as well. Now, some people argue that this type of situation is good for oil-reliant countries such as OPEC countries, Venezuela, and Nigeria. They believe that this will teach them to diversify their revenue and reallocate their funds so they won't have to be dependent on oil in the future. The IMF claims that the recent oil collapse has many oil-reliant countries rethinking their oil-based growth models to a point where they can help create private sector jobs and establish a non-oil economy needed for the future. The only problem with this belief is that many of these third world countries will not be able to survive these next few years to see those changes come into play. Many of them will go bankrupt if oil prices stay this low. For example, according to BBC News, unemployment in Nigeria grew from 8.2% to 9.9% between just 2 months, September and December of 2015. And this rate is continuously growing. Venezuela, which needs oil to be at $100 a barrel just to break even, is in such a large deficit that inflation rates have exceeded 270% in its capital, Caracas. Much of the capital needed to grow emerging markets comes from the energy industry, and since the energy industry is in a glut, emerging economies from around the world are being stifled. There might be a few industries actually benefiting from the oil crisis. Well, maybe only one industry. The auto industry has seen somewhat of a comeback in the past couple of years, largely thanks to low gas prices. Detroit is seeing a renaissance that is equivalent to the 1950s. Now, consumers are switching back to big American cars because of their confidence that low gas prices are here to stay. But an even bigger industry in the US is bleeding out at the same time. One industry that, if it fails, will surely put the US into a recession. And this industry is the oil drilling industry in the US. It's being hammered by the oil crisis. Hundreds of companies are closing for good, the big oil corporations are cutting tens of thousands of jobs, and numerous state economies are failing. According to John Lippert of Bloomberg News, almost 130,000 jobs in the energy industry have been cut in 2015. Many towns are going bankrupt, and many more towns are seeing significant reductions in revenue, especially in Texas, North Dakota, and South Dakota, the largest oil producers in the US. While us as sole individuals can't make a huge difference in helping this dire situation, we can always encourage lawmakers and regulators to do so. We need to convince the regulators and lawmakers in Washington to cut U.S. oil production so that oil prices can rise and the global economy can start to progress again. Thank you. Have a good day.